Welcome to Lesson 2, Part B. We are going to talk about more refined t-tests. In Lesson 1, we discussed the basic t-test, which is meant to assess whether the expected value of the full feature trading system is statistically significant. That is, statistically bigger than 0. Let's go then to the next t-test, which pertains to the difference of mean expected values. The mean expected values in question are the following: the expected value from the distribution of the selected trades, y hat equals 1. These are the trades selected by the predictive model. And the expected value from the distribution of the discarded trades, y hat equals 0. These are the trades generated by the trade construct whose likelihood of being winning, though, has been deemed insufficient by the predictive model. Why do we compare these two distributions and these two expected values? Here we adopt a different perspective. We want to figure out whether the predictive model delivers an upgrade to the trade construct. In mathematical terms, we aim to figure out whether the mean 1, y hat equals 1, is bigger than the mean 0, y hat equals 0. This test entails the calculation of the probability density function of the difference between said means, which is plotted here in green at the bottom of this slide. This distribution has a variance which results from combining the variance of the two distributions involved. That is called pooled variance. But these mathematical technicalities are off scope in this lesson. What matters here is that this distribution must stand above 0, as it was the case in the basic t-test discussed in Part A. If it does, it means that the predictive model delivers an edge with respect to the trade construct. Remember that the expected value is measured in basis points. Well, let's recap the t-test as a whole. Here we see the outcome of the basic t-test, which says that the system in question has an expected value which is not strictly significant at a 95% confidence level, because its lower confidence limit overlaps with 0. It is slightly negative for the sake of precision. It equals minus 1.6 basis points. This value, nonetheless, is very close to 0. Then, even if the system is not significant at the 95% confidence level, it is significant at the 94% confidence level. That is indicated by the test p-value, which is as little as 0.057, which in turn can be approximated with 0.06. Well, let's go now to the second t-test, that referred to as the difference of means test. Here we have the profit and loss distribution related to the y hat equals 1 trade set. And to the y hat equals 0 trade set, respectively at the top and at the bottom of this chart. The y hat 1 mean happens to be definitely bigger than that of the y hat 0. Look. Here we have the same comparison in tabular form. We find reported here the expected value indicated as mean. The expected value of the y hat 1 trade set and that of the y hat 0 trade set. The difference of set means is 188 basis points, and the lower confidence limit of this difference is 93 basis points. That is the lower confidence limit at the 90% confidence level. Great! That indicates that our predictive model definitely improves the trade construct and that this improvement is statistically significant. Let's dive into another real-life example. This time we have a look at the greedy long strategy on gold. That is similar to the previous case. The predictive model here delivers an upgrade as the y hat 1 mean is definitely bigger than the y hat 0 mean. The lower confidence limit of the difference of set means stands at 106 basis points, which is considerably bigger than 0. Let's go back for a while to the purpose of the refined t-test discussed in this video. It aims at assessing whether the predictive model delivers an upgrade with respect to the trading construct. That's fair, but there's more to that. We are also interested in this test because we want, let me say that this way, we want detrend our assessment. Let's introduce then the topic of detrending. Let us assume that our long strategy on gold had been assessed on a relatively short period, let's say from 2013 to 2020. That is a period on which the traded financial issues has trended to the upwards for 7 years in a row. Somebody might argue that the profitability of the system has nothing to do with the subtle logic of the trade construct or with the predictors involved, but it just stems from the fact that the system acts as a buyer on an observation period characterized by a steady uptrend of the traded financial issue. Let me introduce a disclaimer here. This objection would not be relevant to the MASASP systems on the ground of the fact that the observation period adopted by MASASP spans 12 years, then is wide enough to include both uptrends and downtrends. And it is set up so as to include at least one big financial crisis year, 2008 for instance. Secondly, MASASP system combinations always encompass at least one system that acts as a seller, that is characterized by a short position. GD1SE, for instance, is the system which shorts the gold contract. The overall performance of the long strategy-based system and the short strategy-based system would be, of course, uncorrelated to the overall trend of the financial issue involved. Now, that said, let's depart from the MASASP combination guidelines and let us assume that the observation period is short and that there is no other system which shorts the gold contract. Hence, the performance of our long strategy-based trading system might result just from the steady uptrend of the traded contract. In order to figure out whether it is the case, some scholars recommend to adopt the Detrending practice, which means to assess what the performance of the system would have been if the traded contract wouldn't have trended at all. Well, we can reach the same goal with the refined t-test discussed so far. Let's have a look. The expected value of the trade construct is 56 basis points. That's the average profit of one trade, including also those trades generated by the trade construct which have been discarded by the predictive model. That is the figure which could be correlated with the steady uptrend of the financial issues. Well, the predictive model delivers an average profit of 67 basis points, more than 10 basis points above the previous figure. That means that the predictive model, then the full-featured trading system, is able to deliver an extra return with respect to what simply stems from the position bias of the trade construct. The refined t-test then definitely complies with the Detrending recommendation. Let's have a look at the other system which goes long on gold. Here the outcomes are even more satisfactory. The predictive model delivers on each trade an extra return of 16 basis points on average. $75.67 basis points minus 59.91 basis points. That definitely assures us that the system will give positive returns in any market conditions. Besides, remember the disclaimer. This performance refers to a 12-year period where a sharp downtrend occurred in the middle. Besides, we have another system which goes short on gold. That definitely adds to the refined t-test outcomes. Here we can have a look at the two distributions involved in the difference of means test. The graphical analysis would come handy for those who don't feel like going through the statistical outcome report presented in the previous slide. Well, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching and see you at lesson 3.